Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Storytime with Kate Meszaros. Today, I'm going to share a fabulous book called Just Ask by Sonia Sotomayor, illustrated by Rafael Lopez. Did you know that Sonia Sotomayor is one of our Supreme Court justices? If you're not familiar with what the Supreme Court is, I'm going to put a link in the description below so you can learn more about her. She wrote this fabulous book about kids who are all enjoying life, but all of them have something different that makes their life just a little different, maybe than yours and mine. As I was rereading this book this morning, I realized there are a couple of children in there who have similar situations that I do and that my husband Steve did. So I wonder if you'll recognize yourself in this fabulous book called Just Ask. Let's enjoy this one together. I love the pictures. They're very bright and colorful. So if you want to hit pause as we go from page to page so you can enjoy all the wonderful details, please do. This is called Just Ask. Be different, be brave, be you by Sonia Sotomayor, illustrated by Rafael Lopez. And this is a note to the reader. I'm not going to read this for you, but this gives you a little bit of information about what Sonia Sotomayor was like when she grew up. She had what's called juvenile diabetes. My mother has juvenile diabetes, although she wasn't diagnosed till later in life. And that just means she has to take care of her body a little differently in the way she eats. And she takes a special medicine that helps her body stay healthy. So let's start this book together. And Sonia actually starts the book by saying, "Hi, I'm Sonia. My friends and I are planting a garden. Gardens are magical places. Thousands of plants bloom together, but every flower, every berry, and every leaf is different. Each has a different smell, a different color, a different shape, and a different purpose. Some flowers need lots of sunlight. Others thrive in the shade. Some have to be trimmed regularly, while others are better off left alone. Some trees and flowers are more fragile, and others are more hardy. Hardy means they're tougher. Kids are all different too. Some of us are in a hurry, and others take more time. Some of us seem shy and quiet, while others are chatty and loud. Some of our differences are easy to spot. Others take longer to notice. Each of us grows in our own way. So if you are curious about other kids, just ask. Not everyone is comfortable answering questions about themselves, but I don't mind. What am I doing? Several times a day, I prick my finger to measure the sugar in my blood, and I give myself shots of medicine called insulin. I do this because I have diabetes, and my body doesn't make insulin naturally like other people's. Even though this can sometimes hurt, I gather all my courage to do it to be healthy. Do you ever take medicine to be healthy? I do. I take a medicine every night that helps my heart beat properly. Sometimes my heartbeat can go too fast. And so I take this special medicine just a little bit at night, and it helps my heart to slow down a little bit. Do you take medicine? Sometimes we need it to stay healthy. This boy says, I do. My name is Raphael, and I have asthma, which means I sometimes have trouble breathing. When that happens, I take a break and use an inhaler with medicine to make breathing easier. Quiet time helps me slow down and catch my breath. My inhaler is like a tool to help my body. Do you use a tool to help your body? You don't have to use an inhaler. But I sometimes have allergies and I have to take allergy medicine that helps me breathe better. I'm Anthony, and I use a wheelchair to get around. Even though I can't run with my legs, I can go super fast. How do you get from place to place? Are any of you using a wheelchair or maybe crutches? Sometimes people use crutches too to get around. Um, And this little boy is, well, maybe he's paralyzed, or he might have a challenge with his body that keeps his legs from working like yours and mine. But look at, he can zoom super fast on those wheels. My name is Madison, and my dog Lucky helps me get places safely because I'm blind. My friend Arturo is blind too. He uses a cane to get around. Even though we can't see, we strengthen our other senses and notice lots of details others may miss. We can hear with our ears, smell with our noses, and feel with our hands. How do you use your senses? Sometimes at night, when all the lights are off in my house, I'll feel my way through the living room if I'm looking for my kitten Danny. We don't know what it's like to be blind, but these folks, I'm sure their other senses get heightened, which means they become more important and they become more useful and powerful because their sense of sight isn't there. So their sense of touch is probably very sensitive, I would guess. I'm VJ. I learn about the world differently because I can see, but I can't hear. I'm deaf. Most of the time, I communicate with people using my face and hands through sign language. It's cool to know another language. I also love reading and writing. How about you? I know a little sign language. When I was a school teacher, the last year that I taught, I had a little boy in my class who was deaf, and we had a sign language interpreter who would sit by him, and whatever I would say, she would sign it to him. And oh, he was funny. He was a funny kid. We learned all kinds of funny things to say. But I love this sign. This one, the best, is I love you. Love that one. And this is what my husband, Steve, this is a challenge that he had. This girl says, I'm Bianca and I have dyslexia. So I have to work really hard and take my time when I'm reading and writing words. Sometimes I use computer programs to help me. I love learning by doing things. My imagination is full of ideas, and I'm very good at making art from the pictures I see in my mind. Are you really good at something? My husband, Steve, the grandkids call him Papa. He had dyslexia. He was very, very intelligent, very smart. But back in the 60s, when he was in school, teachers didn't really know about that. And so he really struggled in learning certain things about reading and writing. But he learned by doing. And one of the things that he was very good at was carving. He could see a picture in his mind and carve it in wood. And here's something he carved for me. I always say his little carvings look like him. Papa looked like that a little bit. But isn't that a neat little carving? He could see that in his mind and just cut that out of the wood. I thought that was so fun. I'm great at dinosaurs. I know all about them. I'm Jordan and I have autism. Organizing and counting all my dinosaur toys and again makes me feel calm. My classmate Tiana also has autism, but it's different for her. She doesn't talk, but I like to talk. I especially like to talk about dinosaurs. What do you like to talk about? What do you guys like to talk about? I like to talk about nature and my cats and my friends and my feelings. Sometimes I like to talk about feelings because that helps me process life when life can be a little too much for me. For me, listening comes more easily than talking, and I'm a really good listener. My name is An, and I speak with a stutter. So sometimes repeat a word or get stuck when I try to say it. It may take me a little longer to express myself, and sometimes I'm too shy to talk, but I understand everything that's going on. Do you ever wonder if people understand you? Sometimes I have a stutter. Back in the 1990s, when I was teaching, there was a period where I stuttered for maybe a year or so. And I would just tell my kids, if you know the word I'm trying to say, please help me and just say it. And then about 10 years ago or so, I stuttered again. It just kind of comes in and out of my life. Right now, I don't have a stutter. But when I do, I know that that's a signal for me to just kind of slow down calm down, and communicate in other ways. I do. My name is Julia. Sometimes I wiggle or make sounds that I can't control because I have Tourette's syndrome. People may look at me funny because they think I'm not paying attention or just acting out, but that's not true. I am listening. I don't always like having to explain. It frustrates me. But it helps when I tell people that it's just what my body does. Do you ever feel frustrated? I think we all do. Maybe nature understands her a little better. You can see that owl mimicking her wink. My name is Manuel, and I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's also called ADHD. I can get frustrated when I really feel the need to move around, even though I'm supposed to sit still. When my teachers and friends are patient with me, if I forget something or get distracted, I can get myself back on track. What's helpful to you? When I was a teacher, if I had children who were ADHD, I would let them, if they had slip-on shoes, not tie-on shoes, but if they wore slip-on shoes, I'd let them take their shoes off so they could tap their feet if they were feeling agitated or needed to move while they were working. I also had a table in the back of my room that I had the janitor move it up to like standing height level. So if a kid needed to stand while they were working instead of sit, they could do that as well. And that just helped them to move that energy out of their body. And here's Nolan. I can relate to Nolan. This says, I'm Nolan. It's helpful to me when the food I eat has a clear label that says it's nut free because I am allergic to nuts. They can make me so sick that I would have to go to the hospital if I ate any, even by accident. So I always tell people about my allergy and ask if any food has nut ingredients. Speaking up keeps me healthy. How do you use your voice? I have allergies too, not like this little boy, but I have a gluten allergy, I have a dairy allergy, and I can't eat nuts either, just because of certain things that they do to my body. So I like to look at labels too. And when I go to restaurants, I look at the menu very carefully. And I just tell people I have allergies, so I can't have certain kinds of food. And they take very good care of me. I must say, I haven't had one challenge over the years when I use my voice and speak up. I love to sing and I love to talk. I love to make new friends and be included. I am Grace. I was born with Down syndrome. Kids like me with Down syndrome have an extra building block called a chromosome in our bodies. But we are all different from each other too. I can do almost anything any other kid can do, though learning new things can take some time. One way I learn is to ask questions. What helps you learn? I ask questions too. I ask questions all the time, just like this little girl. It's me, Sonia, again. I ask questions too. When something seems different or new, I just ask my parents or my teachers, and they help me to understand, especially if my friends don't really feel ready to explain. This is what I've learned. Imagine if all the plants in this garden were exactly the same. Like, what if we could only grow peas? That would mean no strawberries or cucumbers or carrots. It might also mean no trees or roses or sunflowers. Just like in our garden, all the ways we are different make our neighborhood, our whole world really, more interesting and fun. And just like all of these plants, each of us has unique powers to share with the world and make it more interesting and richer. What will you do with your powers? One thing I love about this book is that it talks about the differences that we all have. And another word for that is diversity. And any gardener will tell you that the more diverse a garden, the better growth you have for the whole thing. And I'm a gardener, and I definitely know that. I was just outside in my garden this morning looking at all the wonderful different things. And I planted my garden on purpose so that something will be blooming all year long, except winter, of course. So in the spring, some things bloom, and when those blooms are done, then something else will bloom. And right now, my lilies are dying. They had just bloomed like right around the 4th of July. And as they're dying, the rose of Sharon's are blooming. And if I didn't have that diversity in my garden, it would just be what I would call a one and done. It'd be bloomed and then done. And so in our world, it's so important to have diversity, to have things that are different, because that's how we learn the different parts of ourselves as well. So if you have time, check out this book at your local library. I'll put a link in the description below. And until I see you next time, have a great day.